So after 1949, this is Mao Zedong who created the People's Republic of China. They went through the Cultural Revolution. So that is another attempt to eradicate a corrupt, quote, corrupt ideas of pre-communist era. So they didn't, so communist regime, they didn't respect or they didn't want to preserve cultural heritages. So that's why all the Buddhist temples were ruined. And then people paraded on the street. And what's important for them is Mao. These all three people are the same people, like Mao Zedong's words and deeds. So it's a little bit of a personal veneration of Mao, the political leader. So this is Tiananmen Square, created by Communist Party. So this is the Forbidden City, right? And you have a large plaza, and then this is Congress. So you can see this is the Imperial Palace. This is our Congress. So that the Chinese government wanted to create a people's paradise. So this is Mao Zedong as a benevolent, generous father of the country. And then the kind of work that Communist Party allowed to create, allowed artists to express were the style of social realism. There should be something valuable to teach the general population. So it's not about your personal expression. It should be respect or recognition of workers. Look at this man, old man who worked really hard, and hands are worn out to the labor. So this type of work was considered a good work based on social realism. And there are a lot of propaganda plays, like singing and dancing, and then again, veneration of Mao Zedong's legacy, those kind of works. So now China is a modern city, and after 1990s, we are going to see more Chinese contemporary artists working in the international artwork. So this is Wang Guangyi's work. Hold on, it's right here. And then this work is work by Xu Bing, Book from the Sky. So Chinese artists received American pop art, and they are rapidly changing in terms of their artistic pursuit. So these are really contemporary of Chinese art. I want to remember the name like Chai Guo-qiang. Chai Guo-qiang is an artist with explosives, gunpowder. And then Yue Minjun is a painter. Yang Guan is a performance or conceptual artist. So you have a lot of contemporary art. And then I wanted to remember this one person named Nam Jun-paek. Okay, Nam Jun-paek lived in New York about half of his life. He was working for PBS. Do you know what PBS is? Public Broadcasting Company, right? So he was a videographer from the late 70s. Color television just came out. And then back then, 70s, the television looked like this, right? Tube box. When you say YouTube, the tube refers back to the tube television. Right? Currently, we have LCD or LED monitors, but in the beginning of television set, you needed gas filling this large box. So it's more like a tube box kind of shape. Anyhow, Nam Jun-paek is originally from Korea. He was educated in Japan and studied in Germany. But then as a young man, he came to the United States because that was the center of avant-garde art, progressive art. So he created this robot series. So he created television sets in order to create a large robot images. And now thinking about 2020, when you read magazines, you hear about robot now serving food, or robots taking your reservations, or sometimes if you go to amusement park or big airports, robots now take you to your destination. You have a Q&A box in the shape of robots, and they move these days. So he was a pioneering artist. He was often called as a father of video art because he incorporated technology in the art making process. So this is Nam Jun-paek as a young man. And then this is right after he died. He died in 2006. So he did a lot of impossible performances. So he was banging the piano with his own head. He has a PhD in music theory and composition. He was very pioneering. So 60s, he created this TV robot. And then we collaborated with other musicians or other conceptual artists. And then this is his installation of showing Buddha. What is Buddha looking? He's looking back at himself, right? Camera is here. And in the age of YouTube or the age of image inundation, I think this is really, really pioneering, the progressive. This is what we are doing, right? We are sending our selfies to a number of friends and strangers, and then they are consuming our images, or we are also consuming our own selfies. And in this particular setting, made in 1970s, the Buddha is seated to meditate, but he needs a focal point, right? Usually you look at the dry landscape. Remember the dry landscape of Ryoanji Temple in Japan? Like you need a certain meditative tool. So in this case, he's staring at himself. And how? Because the camera here is recording this non-moving Buddha's face. This seated Buddhist statue ended up consuming his own images. Is this meditation? So I cannot go over, all the detail. You can read about it. Like, Ibu is another amazing woman artist from Korea. And what did I want to say? Yeah, you should come to my Korean art class. I have more time to talk about this seductive fish. All I can say is you should imagine the smell of a fish. They look so beautiful, so it's called the majestic splendor. But you have to also remember that inside each bag, this is not the rubber, this is not wax, they are dead fish. And you can imagine the smell. So, yeah, you can search Ibul. Japanese artists also came to New York. This is Yayoi Kusama. People love Yayoi Kusama's mirror room in the 1990s. And then these days, if you search for Yayoi Kusama, you can find the images of infinity room. It has a mirror. It's very similar to mirror room, but there are a lot of lights inside. And you feel like you are somewhere up in the galaxy. She was a performance artist as well as installation artist. So I'm going to stop here. And there are more to come in terms of contemporary art. But I want you to remember that tradition is connected with the future of art making, or the present of art making at the same time. Thank you.